Alright boys, Sunday, March the 3rd, 7:39 a.m. This is a little video for my old buddy over there on a friendly metal detecting farm. You know, he's a bit stubborn. Manticore. We're going to look at this trace on the screen. Now, it can help you. Okay, I've used this machine. We're going to do a little exercise here, okay? Let's assume that zinc and penny you see right there. Let's say that was a valuable coin instead of what it is. Wonder if a coin in the United States made with that conductivity level was very valuable. Hard sought after for metal detectors. Okay, so let's just say, for this video, although they don't ID the same, I've got a 25-06 rifle cartridge there. No bullet, no powder. It does have the primer in it. So let's just disregard the ID on this detector. Let's say these two objects here ID the same. Since that zinc and penny is very valuable, you would want to dig as many of those as you could. And let's assume these cartridges here. Now, there's other calibers out there. Let's say the fields were just roaming with them as well. And you had to go out and find as many of those valuable zinc and pennies as you could. Well, the time you would spend digging those, if you had no way to tell them from that valuable zinc and penny there, would cause you to find fewer of those. Does everybody agree with that? You can't do two things at once. You can't be digging junk and digging good targets at the same time, or detecting good targets while you're digging junk. Now, we're going to look at this in a few different orientations here. You see there, the bullet, where the bullet sets is pointed up. It's setting at about 45 degrees. Okay, all-terrain high conductor speed 5. You see that trace there? Okay, bit elongated. Listen to that tone, by the way. Just to show you, one region, all tones. So you get to see that elongated trace. Now I'm going to come over here. You see an elongated tone. Or trace, I mean. Okay? ID has changed somewhat. But listen to that sound. It does have a little waver to it, but not very much. Okay, now we're going to reverse. Now the primer end is up. Let's sweep. You see the trace? That sounds pretty good, don't it? We're going to turn. Okay, got a pretty good sized trace there. Okay, now that primer, this machine, that primer is bothering this detection scenario. It's polluted that signal. That's what you're seeing in that trace there. There's some pollution with that signal. Okay. Now the bullet cartridge is in that configuration. You see the trace. Elongated. No waver of the tone at all on sweep. Slow sweep. Fast sweep. Now I'm going to turn over here. That trace looks pretty good. Resembles a coin. Okay? So you got to see that bullet right there. We'll sweep it again from this direction. Look at what happens to that trace. Alright? Now the zinc and penny is sitting up there. Solo, okay? Tap dot. You get to hear that audio. Now it doesn't do me any good to rotate on that, okay? Now we're going to put this penny down here. We're going to tilt it at about 45 degrees. What happens? You hear that? The trace is stretched out in the screen. Hear that audio? So I've got a stretched out trace, but I have that audio doing what it's doing. Alright, I'll come over here and sweep. We didn't get that waver right here on that bullet or that cartridge. Hear that? Even when we have a stretched out trace somewhat, we didn't get that waver on that bullet cartridge. Rifle case. Now I'm going to tilt the penny up even more. Alright, I'm sweeping. Hear that? Look at that trace. So you get to hear that. You see the trace is stretched out on that machine, but you hear that sound right there. Okay, which would be what? Oh, coin on edge perhaps, right? All right, button-shaped, coin-shaped target on edge. Okay, I'm over here sweeping. Now that sounds pretty good there. But the target presentation is very weak and the ID drops, which is typical of a coin on edge. Okay? Now, if these two items ID the same, and that bullet is laying in that configuration, or that cartridge is laying in that configuration right there, and I sweep and put tape over the bottom of this screen right here, I wouldn't know any better, would I? I couldn't distinguish if both in the wall were in that configuration. Sweeping from 4 or 5 inches away, I couldn't distinguish one from the other if they ID'd the same. I don't think I can. Okay? You see the dot there? Nice and round and tight. And some of those Weatherby rifle cases may actually read close to what this zinc and penny will. They're thicker. You see that? Look at that. Look at that trace in that screen on that cartridge. Okay, now let me say this. This gentleman Digalicious keeps going to this term, dig decision. Well, you know, there's things you can do prior to dig decision. Metal detecting can be about time. The fewer actions you have to take on a target to make that dig, no dig decision is valuable. I mean, I could have a detector out here that I could say, oh, that's the cartridge and that's the penny. I wonder if it takes me 2 times or 3 times as long to make that decision because of the way the detector gives data. Well, in the long run, which model is likely going to find more of those valuable zinc and pennies? Like I stated earlier in this video, common sense tells me what? Time is a big factor with metal detecting. This is one reason why the FBS and the FBS2 units were grand on them silver and copper coins. Because you wasn't digging as much junk. Some of these other VLF single frequency detectors, especially as the coins got deeper, did what? The ID became basically, you were playing pin the tail on the donkey. So you were digging more on whims. You might have been basing it on the depth or the strength of the signal, or comparing maybe some frequencies on some machines, if they allow that, okay? So yeah, it's called detector efficiency. It's not necessarily to make the dig no dig. What do you got to do to get there? And how efficient is the decision once you get there, based on the information given by a metal detector? I'm just a hick from the sticks, boys. But I'm going to tell you something. I read people's posts on internet forums, metal detecting forums, and some other forums. It is my opinion, that Rattlehead fella is one sharp fella. Don't you all think any different, okay? He's sharp. He picked right up on that Manticore. He picked right up on that DS2. If any detector manufacturer sees this video, it is my opinion that gentleman would be testing my equipment. He would get my vote, should you choose to ask him to do that for you. That's how I feel about him, okay? I've read and seen some of his videos. He's no nonsense. Okay, well, that's going to conclude this video. Digalicious, I hope this video helps you, okay? Now, I just showed this one example, okay? And, you know, Minelab probably wouldn't put this screen on this detector if it didn't have any value. Those engineers at Minelab are pretty sharp fellas and ladies. Okay, I hope you enjoyed.